Okay, thank you, Mario, and thank you, Wael, and thank you for foreshortening a bit. As I mentioned, we're doing good on time, but we have one more presentation on the agenda, but we just have a bonus close to the session today. Just waiting for His Excellency Dr. Majid Al Nuaimi, who's the Minister of Education for Bahrain, who's going to close the day. But before that, please give a warm welcome to the Vice President for Middle East North Africa Government and Public Affairs, Selim Eddé of Google.
Thank you, John. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it's a privilege to be here and to spend quality time with you this morning. Attempting to answer a question about what is shaping the future of digitization, talent and work. Very ambitious question. Don't expect a definitive answer. We just, what I'd like to do is share a few thoughts with you and elements of that can start a discussion, and it's a challenge to follow the speakers because they covered really a lot of the grounds already. So if we start with the end in mind, and I think it is the big elephant in the room, at least in MENA, when we talk about education, is jobs, and jobs for everyone, and jobs that are interesting. So if we start with the end in mind, I would like to quote to understand a little bit the nature of work. What is work? And this is a wise man from the country I come from, Lebanon, Mount Lebanon, and he said that we work so we may keep pace with earth and the soul of the earth, etc. It's a beautiful quote. And I'd like to, although we talk a lot about the changing nature of work, that element is still there. To illustrate that, maybe my grandfather, actually, my maternal grandfather, who was living not far from where Khalil Gibran grew up, used to have two jobs. He was a master mason. He used to build houses. And the second job, he used to plow the fields. He was a farmer. If I told him what I was doing today, if somebody told him what Selim, is doing for work today, he would think I am on vacation, I'm on holidays. I'm going from country to country, staying in nice hotels, talking to very interesting people and facilitating discussions. So that is the changing nature of work. You've all heard about the shared economy, of course. How things are being transformed from within. You've all heard the story of the largest hotel chain that does not own a single hotel, the largest bookshop that didn't have an outlet until recently. So this is changing, and of course, one of the largest producers of, let's say, YouTube videos actually here in the MENA region, changing the nature of work. People are leaving some of their jobs to become YouTube creators. Just to give you an idea about the magnitude of this, 400 hours per minute of video is produced, more than all the studios put together. And this is profoundly changing the nature of work and the way we learn as well. Who has learned something on using YouTube, right? Lately, right? So we all do that. Here I would like to say that this has been going on for a few years. We all heard about it, but there is something happening right now which is changing everything. And I would like to do not want to. It's hard to follow up on what Wael shared with us about artificial intelligence, but artificial intelligence has been around for a long time. And definitely what has happened when the champions of chess were beaten by Deep Blue was extraordinary. But things went quiet for a while, and you may be wondering what happened lately that changed everything and is changing the landscape and will change the way we learn as well. So that inflection point came with, and what I referred to it on his slide, is with the AlphaGo. As you know, Go is a Chinese game that is extremely complex. Compared to chess, chess has a variety of possibilities when you're playing chess on a board. However, there are finite. You can define the number of moves you can have, like 4,567 precisely. When it comes to Go, the game Go, there is no limits. Apparently, the options and the possibilities are as numerous as the atoms in the universe. And a machine was able to beat the Chinese champion 4 times out of 5. And apparently, it lost once just to learn from the loss itself. And when a Go champion is asked, why did you make this move sometimes, they answer, I don't know, it was intuition. So that a machine can beat a human being like this is quite a feat. And that machine learning, so here we're differentiating between artificial intelligence and machine learning. This is what has caused that inflection point that we're living in today. That's the AlphaGo game. And basically, we're trying to make machine learn things and not specialized material like chess or the game Go. It's actually about general purpose versus narrow AI and machine learning. And that opens the possibilities to everything and to anything. As a matter of fact, if you've used maps today to get here, if you use search, AI and machine learning is being integrated in all of Google's products, on YouTube as well and others. And this has become, it's the present that we're living in today and will be shaping the future. You've heard about the Google Translate as well, and all these will be, if you're using Gmail, you use Gmail, sometimes you find that Gmail is guessing what is your next sentence. All this is based on machine learning and AI. More impressive is actually we run our data centers using machine learning and AI, and we managed to have a zero carbon free for all our data centers. You know, those data centers, they consume a lot of energy, and they are somehow guilty of not being very friendly to the environment. So we managed to make them with a zero carbon free footprint. When you're flying a plane as well, it's now those technologies are integrated to make it safer. TensorFlow, I would like to take a second here just to talk about TensorFlow. Anybody in this room can use it. It's available, and you can go out there and build your own solution to your own problem. There's this family in Japan, I'm sure in the Middle East you would appreciate that as well. We all do. They sell cucumbers. And cucumbers in Japan, the price varies depending on the shape and the quality of the cucumber and the size and all that. And the young kid in the family, he managed to go on TensorFlow and create a way to sort cucumbers and therefore, make the business of his family more efficient and more productive and more profitable. In the MENA region, we have a problem with diabetes. Apparently, it's one of the highest in the world in terms of people who suffer from this. And there is an example where machine learning actually, there is some kind of diabetes that makes you blind, and the only way to find out about it is to do a retina exam that is pretty complex, and doctors take a lot of time to do this, and actually they cannot do it fast enough for everyone. So there is a machine learning using artificial intelligence, and a machine was designed to actually do this exam very quickly, so that many of these exams can happen during a day, and therefore help people from becoming blind, really, stopping that. This is a famous study. A lot of people in the room must be familiar with it, and it answers the question that was posed to Wael earlier on and everybody's mind about AI. Will jobs disappear? And the answer seems to be quite clear, that tasks will disappear, but jobs will not disappear. You know, they used to say that a doctor, the main skill that a doctor needed to possess in the 19th century, it was essential, he couldn't work without it, is to be able to ride a horse, right? And the 20th century is to drive a car. 21st century is how to deal with information. So the job is still there, the tasks are different. And you'll find that a lot of those jobs will remain there, but the nature of the tasks will change. This is statistics about jobs that are in demand, and using Google, some of the data and the searches, we know what are the jobs that are mostly in demand. It's interesting here that if you were in 2010 a Zumba trainer, you would be in high demand. If you are a wind turbine technical person, you will be in high demand, and of course a data scientist as well, and mobile app creator as well. And again, this is not a new issue. This has been in the news many times. This is 2017, and CNN saying smart robots could, but this is also, this is in 1980, right? And this was in 1960. And this is what was in 1928. So this has been a recurrent theme. It's not about machine versus man. It has always been the case. It's machine and man competing with another man with another machine. So it is a case of augmentation, no doubt. And going back to the optometrist who actually trying to diagnose diabetes, you still need an optometrist, and much more. The tools have changed. The job will remain there. The tasks will move and will change. Going back to the UAE here, we just actually to the MENA region. I would like to share with you here some data points, because we can talk about things and everyone has opinion, but when you have the data, things change. People then, you know, they sit around the table and we can progress. I'm not saying these are definitive, this is definitive data, but it can help to start a conversation. And this is about digitization and how ready is MENA for digitization. So here you have, I chose two countries, the UAE and Egypt, just to make it simple, because it's very hard to cover all the MENA region. The UAE, because it's #1 in all the indexes, it runs as #1. And it is pretty ready in terms of network index readiness. It's number 26 in the world and rates quite high. Worthwhile mentioning, Your Excellency, I know TRA is here, and that still affordability is an issue. It's one of the most expensive connection you could get. The correlation is interesting also with the competitiveness. The UAE is highly competitive. It's 17th ranked in the world out of 136, which is quite impressive, and an example of what MENA countries can achieve. Where we're still lacking a little bit in the UAE is in terms of innovation and business sophistication, as the index defines of the World Economic Forum. We can have this discussion later on. But this is a country that is doing very well, and and we can use these kind of data to start talking about it. Egypt has its own challenges and opportunities. It lags behind in terms of network readiness, although this is 2016, it's a little bit dated. I know the last 2 years a lot of changes happened. This still gives you an indication of what is happening here. In terms of competitiveness, Egypt is not as competitive as it should be, or it could be. And this gives you an idea about where the shortcomings are. We've put on your table this, which relates to education and talent. It's the MENA Talent Competitiveness Index of 2017, done by the INSEAD Business School. It's very simple. It rates the countries on 3 major indicators. Can you enable talent? Can you retain talent? And can you grow talent? So the MENA region doesn't do great in all these globally. And in terms of ranking within the countries here, you can have a look here at it tells you each country and where the shortcoming is. Again, good data point to start a conversation. There's a lot of work to be done. The educators and the policymakers in the room, you have a lot of work if we want to catch up with the rest of the world. This is another representation of the same. Another issue, if you want jobs, and you know that jobs will be created not by the government, not by large enterprises, by whom? By small and medium-sized enterprises and businesses. Yet if you go online and you want to find a business online, and a lot of people want to do that. Look at the percentages. They really want to find the business online in the MENA region. Very few can actually find it compared to Europe. You can't, you're not listed, you're not on things like Google Maps and other tools. And the percentage is really drastic. So if you want SMEs to create the new jobs, you need to digitize them. To digitize them, you need to find them on the internet, because this is where people are looking for to buy goods and services. Let's say the digitization has started. This is Street View. Street View is this machine that goes around either on a car, but here just to make the point, it's we've collected some data in the desert, beautiful ones. You can find. What is the purpose of this? Is that when you collect this data, then you have data about businesses, and people can find them. But more importantly, also because this region lives off tourism as well, people can actually start their experience of discovering a MENA country from the comfort of their living room, if that country actually is present online, and from a digitization point of view. I would like to just do a little bit of explanation about Maharat min Google, what it is. What we've realized is that there is a little bit of confusion when we talk to educators, not you guys, but in general, is that when they talk about tech, they think still of computer and one computer per student, etc. Well, actually, it should be different conversation. It should be how many megabytes of connection per student. Should it be 10 megabytes? Should it be 100 megabytes? How can they be connected? How can people be online, stay online, have the staying power online, and grow online? So that takes a different kind of skills than using a word processor or on a computer, or being able just to browse the internet. It takes a completely different kind of skill. This is what we call the digital skills. And now it's available in 3 languages, English, Arabic, and French online, and we are working with partners across the region to have them. Again, the main issue is, you can see it here. The big issue is that the numbers are 30% of MENA youth are unemployed, twice the global average. Twice the global average. However, 60% of the population is under 25, which means we say jokingly that the MENA region is growing younger. However, there is a problem that is growing bigger by the day. It is the unemployment of the young people. And there is a danger here of the lost generation that cannot find the jobs, and then this will have disastrous effects. So the window of opportunity is short, and action is needed now. So another issue, not only the youth, but also diversity in the region. The ladies, the women in the MENA region have done exceptionally well. They are at parity in terms of graduates. However, when it comes to joining the workforce, they are still lagging behind. And I think John Chambers of Cisco said something extraordinary, that the internet is a great equalizer, and yes, this is part of it. If we can all be there, it can happen. This is a McKinsey study that says if only women can contribute as much as men to the economy, this is the kind of growth that you will see. And we badly need this growth in the region if you want to solve the unemployment issues for young people, especially in this part of the world, in the Levant and North Africa. So that's a little bit of advertising on Maharat. Please feel free to go and actually, it's for everybody. So the idea is to create the digital citizen, meaning somebody who understands how to be online, to stay online, to survive and grow online. Whether it's marketing, whether it's, why do I get this kind of results when I do a search? How do I have a video in my business offering, etc., etc. It covers 26 topics and more than 100 courses. But this is just creating the digital citizen. It will not solve the problem of jobs. Then, it's like a funnel, and then when you create those digital citizens, then you take them to places where you connect them with jobs, okay? And that's a discussion that is started, and the role of the platform is critical in there. I would like to introduce to you two characters. This is the first character related to the MENA region. Nuela Beck. Have you ever heard of Nuela Beck? She wrote Shifting Gears. Nothing to do with cars. She said that all the theories of economy are based on scarcity of resources, but she said, no, actually my observations tells me that whenever there's plenty of something, there is an economic boom. And the Eiffel Tower is here is because it's the culmination of the availability of steel, right? And the industrial area, and that is, and you see the cars here, guess what? It's the availability of cheap oil, right? So it created jobs and opportunities for everyone. You see where I'm taking this. The concrete jungle, it's concrete, the cheap concrete, and of course, the microchips and the information. So the availability of abundance of information and the abundance of technology, affordable technology, is a unique opportunity for us. If only we can combine it with the abundance of young people in the region. Combine the two together, and there is something will happen that is that can be unique. I'm sure you've heard all this, but I would like to introduce another character. His name is Ronald Coase. He's famous for this. I'm sure you've heard of this. If you torture the data long enough, it will confess. Promise will not torture you anymore with data, but it's not why I'm putting this up. It's actually he won the Nobel Prize for something that says that markets become efficient when the cost of a transaction nears zero. Which means if you have the abundance of information, chips, and young people, where will they meet? They need to meet on a platform, on a market. Please make that market affordable. Make it affordable to everybody, accessible and affordable to everybody. So that goes to the core of what Google is all about, is to organize the world information. The internet is for everyone, and that also that can afford. His Excellency, the Right Honorable, in the morning talked about education for everybody. So that's what what is important. But it can only be enabled if the educators and the policymakers do the right things here. The role of government, we're not going to here sit and say what the role of government should be, much better, but what our research indicate that people are looking for, of course, policies. Policies are extremely important, and they have been maybe overlooked in the past. The impact of a policy, and of course I run policy for Google, for the MENA region, so if you have a hammer, you see nails everywhere, right? So policies are important because they can help you scale. They can help you scale a solution that you found, and if you want to make it available to everybody, you put the right policies in place. But it's not enough. You have to have the right platform. The role of the platform is important, and even you have the policy, the platform, no one knows about it. So you have to, as a government, you have to put the right mindset. We heard the story, nobody will marry his daughter to a plumber in the MENA region. People need to change their mindset in terms of work, talent, competitiveness, and also in terms of access to information and dealing with the information. I think the effectiveness of the platform is extremely, has been well demonstrated. There is enough research there to say how a platform can actually lead to economic development. And the role of the government is to create a welcoming environment for platforms. I really like the question in the morning of Dr. Hussam of MCIT Egypt when he said about reg tech. How can we use those platforms to actually create the right policies for government? Because they will be data-based, right? This platform has a lot of data that can be leveraged. You'll find this here. This is what the INSEAD recommends in terms of policy recommendations. They're not this is not the ultimate answer, of course, but really it helps. If you educate for employment is important as educators. I know there's a big debate out there, should we educate for employment or educate for education? Is it art for art or art for, it's a beautiful argument, but we think the MENA region now is at a time where absolutely there must be a focus, link education with employment. Please, affordable and accessible to all internet. Innovation is not only restricted to few people. The future is here, but it's not equally distributed. That's for sure. So make that equalizer work for everybody. Digital first. There is a good. I used to work for a company 15 years ago. They said we're not taking orders anymore by fax. You remember the fax? We're not taking orders anymore by fax. It has to be through the internet. So the governments have the power to say, if you want to do business with us, do it digital first, and that will create the right kind of mindset. Labor market reforms, okay, I will skip this one. Enable SMEs because they will create the new jobs. And finally, encourage a culture of risk. Failure, thank you, Mario, you talked about failure. Maybe the area in the world that created the most wealth is probably, arguably Silicon Valley, right? Yet there is no place in the world that saw more failures where entrepreneurs try something and they fail, and yet this failure is the major, most important ingredients that make those plants grow stronger and taller, those companies, and create real wealth. There's nothing wrong with trying hard, and if you fail, but please fail quick and try again. And that is lacking. It's just look at the bankruptcy laws that we have in the MENA region. We still have major issues. Okay, and of course, we have to prepare for jobs that do not exist. And the real danger here, is that that window of opportunity is shrinking. So MENA is growing younger. The 60% are less than 25 years old. The unemployment rate in youth is double in the world than what exists in the world on average. So we have a very big problem that is growing by the day. And if we don't catch the young people now and put them into interesting jobs, then you'll have the lost generation. And that can have consequences that will, any challenges we've seen so far will be like a storm in a cup of tea compared to the tsunami that is coming. So we have to be very, very aware of that. And of course, I'll end on my, as I started, and this is, it's so that it's important for young people, and I believe that young people believe in that more than us. If you look at the millennials, what they think and how they think, they will not work unless they're really motivated by something. And our job is to create the right environment for them so that we can sleep well at night and they can get out of bed in the morning and go out with fire in their bellies, trying to connect, communicate, co-create, co-innovate, and co-create the jobs of the future. Well, I'll end on this. Thank you very much.
Thank you for great presentation and great overview from Google on the impacting of technologies in the new policies, and to focus on the topic. Any questions or comments, please? One lady, microphone. Microphone will arrive soon. Thank you.
My name is Reem. I come from Jordan. I have a question. Do you have any data on indigenous languages, particularly Arabic, and do you have any plans to increase indigenous languages? And my second question, I visited Google headquarters in Mountain View, and I noticed that you have OER, Open Educational Resources, but you have zero content on pedagogy, instructional material that promotes skills. And my third comment is, wait a minute, I think I forgot that. I'll hear your answer and then I will, oh yes, I remembered. You said something about lost talent, but I think that one way to preserve talent is to have knowledge-based economy policies that promote knowledge absorption and knowledge retention, and that should take care of the entire society.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So the first question about Arabic and Arabic content on the internet, it is a priority, and we're looking at that closely, and we have some initiatives going on to increase, try to increase internet Arabic presence, Arabic language presence on the internet. For the second question, I am not familiar with what you have described, because Google is a very large company and I don't know precisely about that program and the lack of pedagogic content, but here is something that I would challenge you with. When it comes to education, it's not about content, it's about collaboration. So if you put two people in the room and you encourage them to collaborate, maybe they will, especially the young people, they will create something that is of interest. I'm not saying content is bad, it's the opposite, but it's not only about content, it's also about collaboration. Your third question, yes, I mean, of course. I didn't talk about the lost talent, I talked about the lost generation, just to make sure that we're clear. meaning if this generation, we don't catch them on time and in time, and we don't grow them into, that gap that exists between the job market and the education. If we don't close that gap through digitization, then it will be a lost generation. That's what I meant. Talent, especially in the MENA region, I'm a believer that there's plenty of it, plenty of talent. We need to create the right environment to channel it in the right direction,
Other questions and comments? If not, I want to thank you for the great presentation. I think it was a very long morning, and you feed our minds with these presentations, but I ask for a great applause for your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mario.